Kevin, that might be the biggest aspect of playing 3-on-3 is it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, if kids got to have fun. If they're not going to have fun, they're probably not going to play or
Correct.
keep developing or even stay with the sport. So I think that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up because it's one of the things that I think we need as coaches need to keep in mind how to make the game fun.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the 3-on-3 Hoops Pod, where we talk all things 3-on-3 basketball and uncover all the benefits of playing in a local 3-on-3 basketball league. My name is Kevin Roberts, and on the show today, you guys are in for a special treat. You're about to hear from a living legend, as I'm about to share an interview I had with a true legend in the basketball world, Coach Don Showalter. Coach Show isn't just a coaching icon with an incredible resume that includes being a 10-time USA basketball gold medalist as a head coach of the USA men's U16 and U17 national teams with a perfect 62-0 record. Also coach director for USA basketball youth division. Coach is a visionary who's here to revolutionize how you think about 3-on-3 basketball. In our conversation, Coach Show breaks down why 3-on-3 is more than just a game. It's a powerful tool for skill development and decision-making. He'll share his insights on the differences between international ball and USA basketball and why 3x3 is taking the world by storm. But wait, there's more. If you're a parent wondering how to give your child a competitive edge, Coach Showalter's insights might just change your perspective. He'll explain why 3-on-3 might be the perfect alternative to traditional AAU basketball. And for all you coaches out there, Coach Show has some golden nuggets on how to seamlessly integrate 3-on-3 into your training regimen, into your basketball programs, ensuring your players not only enhance their skills, but also keep the love of the game strong. You don't want to miss a second of this interview, whether you're a player, a coach, a parent. This episode is a treasure chest full of wisdom that can help elevate your game to new heights. I've said enough. I'm going to stop talking and let's dive into my conversation with the one and only Coach Don Showalter. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special treat for you guys with our next guest. He really needs no introduction, but out of respect and admiration, I'm going to do it anyway. 10-time USA basketball gold medalist as a head coach of the U.S. men's U16 and U17 national teams. That includes a perfect 62-0 record. Is that right, Coach? I don't want to shortchange you.
No, that's pretty close. Yeah, that's right.
Coach, director for USA basketball and youth division, a 42-year high school coaching career where he compiled an overall record of 601 wins and only losing 346, which is an insane winning percentage of 64%. That includes 16 district titles and 6 state tournament appearances. He has a 9-time USA Basketball Developmental Coach of the Year award winner. He's also director of Snow Valley Basketball School, which is one of the premier camps for player development in the United States, and also an author, which with his latest book, which is available entitled Cornfields to Gold Medals, Coaching Championship Basketball Lessons in Leadership and a Rise from Humble Beginnings. I can go on, but I know Coach wants me to stop. Welcome to the pod, Coach Don Showalter.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. And let me clarify something. Is I actually did not write the book. The book was a biography about me. So I am not a writer by any means. But
Okay.
Pete Van Heulen, a good friend of mine, he did a fantastic job with the book, interviewing many of my former players and fellow coaches. So it was a very good writing but none of it was by me.
Well, it has you as an author at
Yeah, I
Amazon.
know. Exactly.
Do you ever reflect on everything that you've accomplished up to this point? I mean, are you like ever driving somewhere or maybe sitting outside, relaxing on the porch or patio and think, like, man, what a career?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that because just the other day, I was at Snow Valley, and then I had to go to Lithuania for some clinics for their federation, and came back, and my wife and I were just sitting around. She says, "You ever just think about where 30 years ago what you'd be doing now?" And I go, "Yeah." I have to pinch myself sometimes because those kind of things just. It's remarkable, really, where my career has taken me just because of basketball. Um,
Yeah.
but just to piggyback on that, and Kevin, you raised a good point. Is that young coaches? I think young coaches need to take advantage of opportunities and make their own opportunities. I wrote coaches to work their camps, and I wrote people to say, "Can I speak at your clinic?" And so I think there's some value to showing some initiative because, as you know, nobody's going to come down and knock on your door to coach U16, U17. So, you have to be at the right place at the right time and take advantage of the opportunities that are given you.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, the reason we are having you on this pod, of course, is to talk some 3-on-3 and 3x3 basketball. For those of you who don't know, Coach is a big proponent of using 3-on-3, the 3-on-3 format to teach basketball. And I guess, Coach, let's start with: do you remember the moment where you realized what a great tool the 3-on-3 format could be to actually teach these players how to play the game of basketball?
Well, it's kind of went full circle, meaning that when I was growing up, and even when I was coaching back in my early coaching days, 3-on-3 was really a very popular short-sided game. At that time we didn't call them short-sided games, but now that's kind of the term for them. But very popular method to play. And Gus Macker would have 3-on-3 tournaments all over the country. There's Spokane, Washington probably has one of the biggest 3-on-3 tournaments in the world, with thousands of teams that gather every year in Spokane and play 3-on-3. So I think it's kind of been revitalized a little bit now with 3-on-3 Olympic, where they have a little more specific rules and how you qualify for the Olympics in 3-on-3. And it'll be very interesting, I think, to watch that in the Olympics. I took some of our teams, our younger teams, our 17 and 18 teams, to various places around the world to play 3-on-3. Went to Jakarta, Indonesia for a 3-on-3 tournament, South Korea. So um, I think it's something that's kind of coming back around. It's a great way not only to teach the game, but it's also a great way to have kids involved with really playing basketball the right way.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you went around the world and you've had an illustrious career from the high school gyms in Iowa to, which I've heard you're a legend in Iowa. I know you don't really like that word, but and you've been, like you mentioned, to international courts with USA Basketball. Can you give your thoughts on how basketball is taught and played internationally versus how it's taught and played here in the US? And maybe include anything you like or dislike from the two different styles more than the other.
Well, I think there's one big difference in that most kids, especially in the summer and even some during the high school season, but most players in the states, we play, in my opinion, play way too many games, 5-on-5 games. I mean, we'll go, kids will go for a weekend and play anywhere from 6 to 8 games in a 2 or 3 day weekend. And then they may practice once during the week and do the same thing over again the next weekend. So you're playing, to me, way too many games and not spending enough time with actual skill development. Uh, the international teams, they're just reverse. They'll play one game on a weekend and then spend 6 days in practice skill work. And so we're just about the opposite. We go 6 games for every one practice. So I think that's a real, I think that's something that needs to change. I think the parents need to understand that, it's not all that good to play that many, 50, 60 games in the summertime because it really leaves out the skill development. I mean, you're going to get a little better, but I just talked to a parent the other day and I said, your son may take 10 shots a game, maybe 12, maybe 15 if he's the best player. And so you're taking 15 shots a game. You play 6 games, you're only taking 90 shots. And if you're not working on your shooting other than those games, you can't become a better shooter. I mean, you've got to shoot and build habits. So I think the game does help a little bit of skill development, but by the same token, international players, they take that game very seriously, and our kids maybe don't really take the game as serious as the international team, simply because if our kids, they'll play on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. It doesn't matter if they win or lose; they're going to play again at 11 or 12. So I think the competitive atmosphere of those games is somewhat construed to be, we're playing really hard and we're getting a lot better by playing games, which you're really not uh, as much as you think you are. So I think that's the one big difference between international and our in the states. I think another one is certainly. I think another aspect of that is oh, international. I do a lot of international clinics. I go to a lot of international camps, but they do a really good job of teaching all players all skills.
Mm.
I think I have learned a lot by playing the international game, and coaching in the international game. Uh, we tend to put players in a box, or the players put themselves in a box by saying, I'm a point guard, I'm a two guard, I'm a three guard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 4 man or a 5 man. So you work on skills that may be good for your what you think your position is, but it doesn't really help you grow as a basketball player because now you don't have the skills that maybe an international player has for all positions. So I think that's one thing that hopefully we're getting away from a little bit is making sure that we're teaching really all skills to all players. Because you take a big maybe a sixth grader who might be 6'2" already, and
Mm.
he can rebound and he'll do everything around the basket. But maybe in another 2 years or 3 years, he's still 6'2". Now he has no guard skills because that's what he has to play. Uh, Anthony
That's
Davis is a great example of that. He was a guard in high school, and now he grew like 8 inches 6 to 8 inches in the summer. So now he's more of a post player, but his skill level is really good because he was really good at the guard skills, and then he grew into it. So I think those are two big differences I see with the international team playing less games, more practices, and the international kids uh, having more versatile skills than we do.
I think that like that what you just said about players being pigeonholed into positions is so true. I hold trainings on Sundays, and I just trained a sixth grader who's about 5'5", 5'6" with his hair up, and
Yeah,
he wants to be a point guard, and he says the school that he plays for, his coach always puts him down low, and he hates it.
yeah,
And so, I told him, well, we can practice just guard skills, and that's all we did. And I
yeah,
can tell that he really desires to be a point guard. So I said,
yeah,
you just have to keep, practicing handling the ball and your basketball IQ, and just show the coach that you can be a point guard. So,
yeah,
and to
yeah.
your point with the practices versus games, that's something that we've said on this podcast also. But I have a question for you about that. Do you how big is I don't know if you would know this or not, but how big is YouTube culture internationally? Because I do think that may have something to do with, I guess, players and even the parents having that
Yeah,
desire to get some exposure for these kids in AU tournaments. And I think YouTube culture, highlight culture, is a big part of that.
yeah.
Is that big internationally or no?
Not nearly as big. Part of it is, most kids at the international level, uh, first of all, the high schools internationally are not geared like we are. I mean, we
Okay.
have everybody plays high school ball,
Okay.
and international wise, they very few. If they do play school ball, it's very limited and not very good. So most of the players on the international level, if they're any good at all, they're involved with their clubs at an early age. So they're playing. A lot of times we play against U16, U17s who are already professionals playing against 21, 22 age kids. So they're getting a lot of really uh, good workouts against older players, which again, I go back to the fact that years ago we learned how to play on the playgrounds, and I go to the
Yeah.
playgrounds now in New York City and West Fourth Street and Rucker Park, and there's very few kids playing anymore. Where it used to be just packed.
Yeah.
You were playing with older kids, and you had to figure out what your role was, and if you're a young kid playing with older guys, you didn't shoot it.
Yep.
If you shot it,
Yeah.
you get your butt kicked. You learn how to play defense and pass the ball because that's the only way you're going to stay on that team. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different things that our kids are involved in. And, the social media aspect and the internet aspect is one huge thing. And so I think it's a little. I think there is international wise. I know there's quite a bit of that, but it's not in the same probably taken the same way as we do ours. I mean, we use it as a selling point. Most kids do for, hey, look at my highlight stuff, and
Yeah.
it's not, and even that is not really a good selling point because everybody that watches it knows it's just a
Highlight film.
highlight film of a couple
Yeah.
two or three plays. But again, I think parents, the parents come in that aspect thinking, well, if a college coach sees it, why my kid's going to get a scholarship, which is,
Yeah.
maybe 1 in 10,000 might happen that way because college coaches aren't going to watch highlight film and offer somebody a scholarship. So I think there's a lot of difference in that from international to players here.
That's interesting. Um, can you highlight some of the key benefits or I guess your favorite benefits of playing more 3-on-3 basketball, specifically for the younger players, say from the 8th grade level on down to when they're just old enough to play organized basketball?
I think there's a lot of really good aspects, a lot of positive things with 3-on-3. Now, let me back this up a little bit. About 5 or 6 years ago, with our junior national teams, we have the best of the best at that level. We have Jason Tatum and Jalen Brunson and Jalen Brown and Jalen Griffith and Suggs and Scotty. I could go on and on. Scotty Barnes, Brad Beal, but I think we really looked hard at our training camps and our mini camps and what we wanted to get out of our mini camps and training camps. And we felt that one aspect that we were not doing a very good job of is playing 3-on-3 with those kids because we felt that the skill work that we were doing, first of all, we had a hard time evaluating if they were getting better. Secondly, we had a hard time knowing, kind of evaluating what skills we need to work on more.
Mm-hmm.
So we implemented 3-on-3 in our junior national team practices, U16, 17, 18, 19s, on a daily basis. And we didn't do that before. And we saw significant changes in how kids developed because of the 3-on-3. So you ask what are some things that the 3-on-3 does to really help the player's game. Well, first of all, it gets every player involved. You can't hide. If you play 5-on-5, it's basically a 3-on-3 game anyway with two extra players. And so you can't really hide. It gets every player involved. I think there's more spacing in 3-on-3, which allows more opportunities. You really, you teach spacing. Spacing is something that is really is an offense in itself if you have good spacing, which allows more opportunities. We found out really helps team communication, and we didn't know that going in. But the more we played 3-on-3, we found out the players really talk a lot more in playing 3-on-3 because they got to talk on off defense, help, recover, uh, and the good ones figure out that that's going to make my job easier. So we didn't really have a good handle on that aspect of 3-on-3, but we found out that really helped communication. Uh, I think it really 3-on-3 really reveals a player's weakness. So now when we evaluate players, we watch them play 3-on-3, and for instance, we might say, "Ooh, we've got to work better with our weak hand. We're just not very good with our weak hand." And so I think the 3-on-3 reveals really weaknesses and also strengths of every player, much more than 5-on-5.
Yeah.
It's a great conditioner, as you know. You play 3-on-3, it's a great conditioner, especially if you play FIBA rules, which is continuous, and you have a shot clock that goes with that. I think a couple other things that we found out. We said the 3-on-3 links our training to competition. So now we're looking at training players, but now how does that training come about in competition? And so we say there's a seamless linkage there between training players and conditioning or competitive in the competition. So I think those are some things that really, that teaches players how to play, makes players compete at a high level, they're more accountable to each other. Mm-hmm. Somebody makes a mistake you got to be more accountable to each other. So I think that those are some of the advantages. We keep coming up with more advantages playing 3-on-3 the longer we play it. So, but those are some of the ones that really stick out in my mind.
Yeah, I mean those are all great, and all of that we've touched on before on this podcast. So I'm glad someone as decorated as you can kind of validate everything that we've been saying. Yeah. So, and especially one of the big ones, one of my favorite ones that you mentioned was the communication, because I have that's one thing that I used to struggle with as a coach is getting players to talk, especially on defense. But I do think that. Yeah. I do think that the smaller number of players that just it just naturally makes a player more comfortable to speak than he would on a 12-man roster where the more dominant personality will take over, and it's kind of easier to lay back on a bigger roster. But when it's just three of you guys, you got to talk. Like you said, the weaknesses stand out, and that includes if you're weak in communicating.
That was kind of a benefit that we didn't really think about when we implemented 3-on-3 in our practice sessions every day. Yeah. We didn't really think that was about that. And then the more we played it, we thought, hell, our players are doing a much better job of communication because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a certain way that you integrate 3-on-3 basketball regularly in your basketball programs, or maybe that way that you've seen other coaches integrate it into their programs?
Yeah, I mean, basically we kind of play 3-on-3 in three different formats. So we'll just play a normal 3-on-3 where if the ball is shot and it's missed, the other team has to clear it back out behind the 3-point line and you attack it again. So pretty normal 3-on-3. We also play what we call FIBA 3-on-3, where we have a 12-second shot clock. If a basket, you go until a team makes a basket, and then the team that makes a basket stays on offense, and they have to take the ball inbounds from the circle underneath the basket, throw it out to the coach, and the new team is on defense. So we just call that FIBA 3-on-3. Very quickly, a quick game, great conditioner because you have a shot clock that goes with it. So we do that one, and then we Then we call 3-on-3 advantage disadvantage, where we'll start maybe we'll start where the defense is facing the one of the defenders is facing the basket. The offensive player will put the ball in his back. As soon as he takes the ball away from his back, then you play. So you kind of have an advantage there of him getting to the basket, seeing what's open, good decision making type of thing. So it really helps out, decision making as well when we do that. So our kids really love to play that.
I like those.
That way. So that's kind of the way. And then really the other way, fourth way of playing 3-on-3 is we use it for we still start out in a set and then play out of that. So we might have a 3-on-3 where balls pass to the wing. The guy who passes the ball cuts through the opposite corner. We'll have a side ball screen, and now we're playing out of that side ball screen. And you got to read the defense and stuff. Or we might have, horn set, or you might have a, UCLA cut. So really, that's really fun to do because now you can implement your offense, pieces of your offense into 3-on-3, and then see how kids can make good decisions and play on that. So that's kind of the four different ways that we use 3-on-3 to play to help our team out.
Is that something you guys do this every day in practice, or like how often do you guys do this stuff? Is it like every practice once a week, or during summer practices?
Yeah, we'll play 3-on-3 every day. Either
Nice.
one of those four ways, we'll usually play 3-on-3.
Okay.
And then we may break it down even further. I mean, we may take 2-on-2 where pass and cut. So now we got, and we'll put restrictions on 3-on-3, 2 dribbles only.
Yeah, love
or
that.
Sometimes we'll play no dribbles.
That's,
3-on-2. So I think that's a good way you can. You have a kid that works dribbles all the time. All right, we're going to put a restriction on you and see what you can do. And we say, yeah, you only got one dribble.
It's not even just for them; it's for the players without the ball. Like they got to get each other open. Yeah, I love that.
They don't stand and watch the guy dribble the ball 40 times between his legs, and or with young players. With young players, we won't let them ball screen. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we won't let them ball screen, but they make basket cuts or screen away. Or sometimes we'll say, all right, the only thing you can do is make basket cuts.
Yeah.
So you get really, you can really control the things that you want to work on that day in practice.
It's amazing to me that I feel like, especially with the younger kids, they feel like that's the only thing they know how to do is the ball screen. And I don't know if it's just their first instinct, whenever a player gets in trouble, that's the only way they know how to get players open is the ball screen. So
I think they watch NBA and that's all that happens, So
yeah.
but I think especially young kids, when you have a ball screen and you're bringing 4 guys together, they're on top of each other. We want them to basket cut, screen away. So most of the time we don't allow ball screens with 3-on-3.
Love that rule. What advice would you give to other coaches who are considering incorporating 3x3 basketball into their programs?
Well, I think the main advice I would give is if you're not doing it, try it. I think you're going to find some really advantages in doing it. And let's face it, basketball is, it should be a game where players play the game and make and work on their decision making. Basketball is not a game where we as coaches control everything they do on the court. Let the players play a little bit, figure things out. And this is 3-on-3 is the best way to do that. It may not look very good all the time, but that's okay. Basketball doesn't look good all the time anyway. But at least you let the players figure it out in how to, and spacing and ball reversal and paint touches and those kind of things. So my advice would be to try it and give it a good chance because I think you're really gonna like the results of what you do 3-on-3.
Yeah, and as we've already talked about a little bit, AAU is huge, and I just want to make it clear that I'm not against AAU. I mean, I coached an AAU team, so I mean, there are some really good programs out there that are that are really focused on developing players, but parents and players are in search of the next of the AAU club that they're kid will play on. And some even take it more seriously than their school teams because they anticipate the exposure that we talked about that their kid will get. Or maybe there's a kid that didn't play as much on their school team, but they know that they're going to play a lot more in AU just because of the looser style or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm even talking about like the fourth and fifth graders, which just a side note, I think it's ridiculous that they have a ranking of the top third and fourth graders in the nation. So
Amazing, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's wild. Kudos to whoever's ranking those players, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But for
Exactly.
parents listening who might be considering getting their kids involved with in 3x3 basketball instead of AAU, what would you say are the biggest reasons to do so?
Well, I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see your son or daughter really develop their skills
Hmm.
as a player with the 3-on-3. Um, you know, playing 5-on-5 all the time, you can have a player maybe run up and down the court 5, 6, 7, 8 times and never touch the basketball.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you really want to get your son or daughter to the point where they are confident with their skills, they have to actually be able to play the game. And when you play the game 3-on-3, you, like I said before, you're accountable to your people, the players on your team. Your skills get evaluated. You can evaluate your skills, weaknesses, and strengths. So you get done, you can say, "Oh man, I need to work on my left hand," or
Yeah.
you know what, my rebounding is not very good. I need to work on that type of thing. So for parents that are looking at in my opinion, like I said before, we play too many 5-on-5 games, just crazy too many. Let's let them play some 3-on-3 in a league where they can figure out things how to play. You know, the nice thing about it is, I think most 3-on-3 leagues, you don't coach them; they just play.
Yeah.
And you know that's the nice thing about, in my opinion, about playing 3-on-3 is the kids just have to figure things out themselves. We say, we say there's no bad cuts. You can't make a bad cut in 3-on-3. Now, some cuts are better than others, and as the more you play, you'll figure out which cuts are good, which cuts aren't. But you know, initially there are just no bad cuts. So when you cut to the basket, it's a good cut.
Yeah.
So I think parents that are really interested in their son or daughter getting better need to really look at playing 3-on-3. And we do a large amount of 3-on-3 at our Snow Valley basketball camp every summer. In fact, we're just starting the camp tomorrow here at Warburg, where we'll have about 400 kids, and we'll be playing 3-on-3 every day in some form. So we really think that's a positive thing for the players.
Absolutely. And just want to add to that, we had a coach that I'm sure you're familiar with, Nick Legalvo, come on the podcast, and he mentioned how he uses 3-on-3 to kind of break up the monotony, of his during the season, and just
Yeah.
for the players to have some fun. And I think that's another reason to just to play 3-on-3 is just it keeps your joy in the game. You're always being coached hard in school season, and even if you do AAU, you're being coached. But with 3-on-3, you just kind of remember how it was back when we were kids and just fall in love with the
Yeah.
game. It's just fun, because you're always involved, and like you said.
And Kevin, that might be the biggest aspect of playing 3-on-3 is it's fun.
Yeah.
If kids got to have fun. If they're not going to have fun, they're probably not going to play or
Correct.
keep developing or even stay with the sport. So I think that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up because it's one of the things that I think we need as coaches need to keep in mind how to make the game fun.
Speaking specifically of FIBA 3x3 basketball, you have the Olympics coming up, and I'm very excited to see the men's and women's 3x3 Olympic basketball teams compete this year.
Yeah.
3x3 is much more popular internationally than it is here in the U.S. Do you have any theories on why that is?
Well, part of it is many countries don't have first of all, the resources or the money or the number of players that can play 5-on-5. You take take a country like, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking countries like Luxembourg or Poland or some of the countries who really don't have a good system for 5-on-5. Uh, Scotland, Ireland, they'll never qualify for the Olympics in 5-on-5. I mean, they have no chance.
Yeah.
But 3-on-3, they'll have a chance to qualify at some point because they can find 3 really good players. You just can't find 12 really good players that they need for 5-on-5. They can find 3. So I think the popularity is the fact that, we can find good three or four, which you have 4 on a team, but we can find 4 good 3-on-3 players that will play the game. So I think that's the main reason that countries have gotten much more popular.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas on how we can increase the popularity of 3x3 in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think the more tournaments that you have 3-on-3, I think will help grow that 3-on-3 game. Right now, most of the tournaments that are played that I'm familiar with are 5-on-5. So I think if we keep generating people who run 3-on-3 leagues, 3-on-3 tournaments, I think that's just a way for it to expand. Give them the opportunity, give the kids the opportunity and the parents the opportunity to play 3-on-3 first of all. And sometimes that opportunity is not available. So I think we have to have more organizers in that spot to really push the 3-on-3. And then secondly, I think as a coach, when you play 3-on-3 in practice, emphasize how good it is for players' development. And so kids, just on the playground, hey, let's get a 3-on-3 game going on the playground. I think that so they see the benefits of it, they continue to play it, and they get much better with it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Coach said in his answer, parents should sign their kids up to play in 3-on-3 live and other 3-on-3 leagues like that.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach. We have at the end of every interview, I like to do a little rapid fire question. I didn't really prepare you for this, but they're easy questions that you should be able to answer. And in honor of the FIBA 3x3 shot clock, you have 12 seconds to start answering the question. So first thing that comes to your head.
Awesome.
If you weren't if basketball never existed, but you can choose to be as decorated in anything else, any other profession or skill, what would it be?
Baseball player.
Okay.
I love baseball. I like baseball growing up, so that would probably be it.
How about non-sports?
That's a good question. I'm not really much into anything without sports. So
grill master.
I grill a lot of steaks. If anybody follows my ex posts, so I think you'll find out.
That's why I mentioned
love it. Grill steaks. So I like to cook. I only cook certain things, but
yeah. That's why I mentioned you could be a star on Netflix on
that's right.
Grill Masters. Exactly. Is there a memorable game or moment in your 42 years of coaching career that stands out?
Well, I think one of them is our 2018 U17 gold medal game. I mean, all 10 gold medal games are special. Yeah. That might have been the most special because we had on that team we had Jalen Suggs and Evan Mobley and Jalen Green and Scotty Barnes, who 4 of the top 5 draft picks in the draft eventually. So that was really a special one. I think my first gold medal team with still playing, Brad Beal was on that team, Andre Drummond, Michael Gilchrist. Those guys were really special too. So I think from the national standpoint, and then I had sometimes the most enjoyable seasons I had as a high school coach were the ones where not much was expected, and we ended up with 18, 20 wins out of a 21 game season, thinking that we were going to the season hoping to finish 500. So those are some of the more enjoyable ones too.
Nice. I love to hear that. All right. So what actor is playing you in the Don Showalter movie?
Oh boy. I would have said Gene Hackman a long time ago, but for the
Hey,
old Hoosiers one.
that
But
works.
I'd say, yeah, Gene. I like.
It's pretty good
I watched that
casting right
movie.
there.
Yeah, you
um,
bet.
a parent brings a player to one of your camps, and he's the 13-year-old you. What are your thoughts on this player?
Oh, well, first of all, if he's me, he probably shoots the ball every time he gets the ball. He doesn't play much defense,
That's
so
funny.
I would relate to
Okay.
that.
And then finally, the last question I ask everyone this: your perfect 3x3 basketball team. So you get 3 players and 1 sub, and this could be
Oh,
past or present players.
perfect 3-on-3 player. Well, I think
You're going against everyone else who's answered this question, by the way.
okay. I think the best 3-on-3 players are the ones that are, you mobile and can shoot and have a lot of different skills. So I would have to say, uh, Magic Johnson
Okay.
would be one of the top of my list. Obviously, Michael Jordan would be a great 3-on-3
He's
player.
he's on everyone's team.
Yep, I'd say Magic Johnson.
And
Personally, I would love to have Larry Bird on my team.
so I'm gonna let you know
Three
if
on
you're gonna
three.
win or not in any of these games. But
Okay,
you got one
pick
more
three or
player.
four.
You got one more sub. So those are your 3 starters. You got one
Okay,
sub.
I would say. I'm trying to think of somebody like would probably be a really good. Back in the day, Pistol
Oh,
Pete Maravich
oh boy.
would be on my team. He would be a great 3-on-3 player.
Even with he wouldn't get lost on defense, or I mean, I know he was a
Yeah,
prolific scorer. He
we
scored too
don't
many.
care about his, we wouldn't care about his defense.
That is funny. All right, Coach. I'm not sure you're gonna win me a lot of games with that, but
No, I don't
we'll
either.
put you.
But they'd be fun to watch.
But hey, what can I? I mean, you're one of the legends of coaching. So what can I say? You might know what you're talking about. So, Coach, it has been an absolute joy and pleasure having you on. Thank you for sharing all your insight on 3-on-3. Is there anything else you would like to say? You can plug your book, give any advice to any players, anyone. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just first of all, Kevin, thank you for what you're doing with 3-on-3. I think you're really making you're really kind of setting the tone for kids to play 3-on-3, and you keep pushing it. I think you're doing a great job with that. So keep up your good work.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, as far as my book is called Cornfields to Gold Medals. Uh, I grew up on a farm, went to a fairly small high school, and ended up 10-time gold medal winner. It's on Amazon, so it's got some. I think Pete did a really good job of giving some great leadership points for coaches in the book. So I think coaches that have read it and visited with me about it enjoy the leadership aspect of it as well.
Nice. I love it. I put my order in today, by the way, and it's on the way. So I'm looking forward to reading it.
All
So
right.
I appreciate it. Thanks again, Coach, for joining us.
Thanks, Kevin.